The silent invasion. The day everything changed. Dr. Marcus Blackwood stared at the brain scan on his computer screen, his coffee growing cold in his hand. After 20 years of studying the human mind, he had never seen neural patterns like these. The patient was awake, alert, and seemingly normal, but his brain waves showed something impossible. "Run the scan again," Marcus told his assistant, Jennifer. "There has to be an error." 3 months ago, the world had celebrated when the Zephyrian ships appeared in Earth's skies. Unlike the violent alien invasions shown in movies, these beings came in peace. They were tall, graceful creatures with pale blue skin and large, dark eyes that seemed to hold ancient wisdom. They offered humanity gifts, clean energy, medical advances, and technology beyond our dreams. World leaders welcomed them with open arms. Who wouldn't want to end poverty, disease, and environmental destruction? Strange symptoms begin. But Marcus had started noticing something troubling. Patients were coming to his clinic with unusual complaints. They described feeling disconnected from themselves, or having thoughts that didn't feel like their own. Some said they felt compelled to do things they normally wouldn't do. At first, Marcus thought it was just anxiety from the dramatic changes happening in the world. The Zephyrians had built massive processing centers in major cities, where humans worked alongside alien technology to manufacture new devices. Millions of people had eagerly signed up for these jobs, drawn by excellent pay and the chance to work with advanced alien tech. "Doctor, the scan results are the same," Jennifer said, her voice tight with concern. "Tom Miller's brain is showing synchronized wave patterns across regions that should be independent. It's like something is coordinating his thoughts." The terrifying discovery. Marcus studied Tom Miller, a construction worker who had been employed at the Zephyrian facility in Chicago for 2 months. Tom sat quietly in the chair, his eyes slightly unfocused, waiting patiently for hours without complaint. This was strange behavior for someone who used to be known for his impatience and quick temper. "Tom," Marcus said gently, "how do you feel about your work at the facility?" "It's good work," Tom replied in a flat, emotionless voice. "Important work. The Zephyrians know what's best for humanity." Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. Those weren't Tom's words. In his previous visits, Tom had been skeptical of authority and quick to voice his opinions. Now he sounded like he was reading from a script. Over the next week, Marcus secretly scanned dozens of workers from Zephyrian facilities. The results were horrifying. Every single person showed the same synchronized brain patterns. Their individual thoughts were being suppressed, replaced by something else. The immune few. But not everyone was affected. Marcus noticed that certain people, maybe 1 in 1,000, showed completely different patterns. Instead of being suppressed, their brains were becoming more active. These individuals reported enhanced memory, faster thinking, and strange new abilities. Rachel Torres, a teacher from the local elementary school, was one of these rare cases. "Doctor," she told Marcus during her appointment, "I can sense what people are feeling before they even speak. Yesterday, I knew my student Jimmy was sad about his parents' divorce before he told me. And I've been having dreams that feel more real than reality." Marcus ran every test he could think of. Rachel's brain showed incredible activity in regions associated with empathy, pattern recognition, and something else he couldn't identify. Most remarkably, she seemed completely immune to whatever was affecting the facility workers. The horrible truth. Late one evening, as Marcus reviewed his data, the pieces fell into place. The Zephyrians weren't just employing humans, they were rewiring their brains. The alien technology was releasing some kind of psychic virus that made humans docile and controllable. The synchronized brain patterns, the loss of individual personality, the robotic compliance, it all pointed to one terrifying conclusion. The Zephyrians were turning humanity into a controllable workforce, stripping away everything that made humans unique. But the immune individuals like Rachel weren't just resisting the alien influence. They were evolving, developing abilities that might be humanity's only hope. Marcus grabbed his phone with shaking hands. He had to warn someone, but who could he trust? The government officials might already be compromised. The military leaders could be under alien control. A dangerous alliance. As if sensing his thoughts, Rachel appeared at his office door. She had arrived without an appointment, but somehow Marcus wasn't surprised to see her. "You figured it out, didn't you?" she said quietly. "About what they're really doing to us?" Marcus nodded, unable to speak. "There are more of us," Rachel continued. "People who are immune, who are changing instead of being controlled. We can sense each other now. And Dr. Blackwood, we can sense you too. You're one of us." As she spoke, Marcus felt something awakening in his mind. Thoughts and sensations that weren't entirely his own, but somehow felt right. He could sense Rachel's emotions, her determination, her hope. "What do we do?" he whispered. "We fight back," Rachel said, her eyes now glowing with an inner light that Marcus was beginning to feel in himself. "They wanted to make us into slaves, but instead, they've given us the tools to become something greater than they ever imagined." Outside the window, the Zephyrian ships hung in the night sky like dark clouds, unaware that their perfect plan was already beginning to unravel. Humanity's evolution had begun, and it would not be stopped. Part 2, The Awakening Storm. The world falls apart. Colonel James Harrison watched the news reports from his underground command center, his jaw clenched tight. Cities across the globe were in chaos. Millions of people who had worked in Zephyrian facilities were collapsing in the streets, their minds completely broken. "Sir, we're getting reports from Tokyo, London, and New York," Sergeant Davis reported from her station. "The controlled workers are attacking anyone who tries to help them. It's like they've lost all sense of who they are." James had been suspicious of the Zephyrians from day one. As head of military intelligence, he had insisted on keeping detailed records of every person who worked with the aliens. Now he understood why his gut feelings had been right. The alien mind control was breaking down, but instead of freeing people, it was destroying them. Without the Zephyrian influence holding their minds together, the controlled humans were becoming violent and unpredictable. Underground Sanctuary. 3 weeks ago, James had received a coded message from Dr. Marcus Blackwood. The doctor had discovered the truth about the alien plan and identified people who were immune to the mind control. James had quietly gathered these immune individuals and brought them to an abandoned military facility deep underground in Colorado. "Colonel," came a voice behind him. Rachel Torres, the teacher Dr. Blackwood had mentioned, approached with her eyes glowing softly blue. Over the past weeks, her abilities had grown stronger. She could now sense thoughts and emotions from incredible distances. "What's the situation topside?" James asked. "Bad and getting worse," Rachel replied. "The Zephyrians are trying to regain control, but they're panicking. Their psychic virus is mutating, affecting even people who weren't directly exposed. But there's something else, Colonel. The immune people aren't just surviving, we're getting stronger." James nodded. He had seen it himself. The 53 immune individuals in their underground base were developing remarkable abilities. Some could move objects with their minds, others could heal injuries with a touch, and a few could even project their consciousness over vast distances. The enemy reveals itself. "Sir, incoming transmission on the emergency frequency," Davis called out. It's coming from the Zephyrian mothership." The main screen flickered to life, showing a tall Zephyrian with darker blue skin and eyes that seemed to burn with cold fire. When it spoke, its voice echoed directly in everyone's minds. "Humans of Earth," the alien said, its mental voice carrying overtones of anger and frustration. "I am Commander Vextar of the Zephyrian Collective. Your species was chosen for integration into our workforce because of your adaptability and creativity. However, some of you have proven defective." James felt Rachel tense beside him. Her abilities were growing stronger in response to the alien's presence. The neural restructuring process was designed to eliminate your chaotic individuality while preserving your useful traits, Vextar continued. Instead, a small percentage of your kind has developed resistances that threaten our entire operation. A terrifying ultimatum. The alien's image leaned forward, and James could feel the creature's psychic pressure pressing against his mind like a weight. We offer you one final choice, Vextar said. Surrender the enhanced individuals to us for study and elimination, and we will repair the damaged minds of your controlled population. Refuse, and we will increase the psychic pressure until every human mind on this planet breaks completely. The transmission ended, leaving the command center in stunned silence. How long do we have? James asked Rachel. She closed her eyes, extending her consciousness upward toward the alien ships. They're already beginning the process. I can feel it like a storm building in the sky. They're going to flood the entire planet with psychic energy. The network awakens. Suddenly, Rachel's eyes snapped open, glowing brighter than ever before. Colonel, I'm receiving messages from enhanced humans all over the world. There are thousands of us, hidden in bunkers, caves, and shielded facilities. We're all connected now. James watched in amazement as Rachel began speaking in a voice that seemed to come from many people at once. This is Elena Rodriguez in Mexico City. I have 37 enhanced individuals with me, and we've figured out how to disrupt their local transmission towers. David Park reporting from Seoul. Our group has discovered that the aliens' collective consciousness has a weakness: they can't handle multiple individual thoughts attacking them at once. Maria Santos from Sao Paulo. We've learned to create psychic shields that can protect normal humans from the alien influence. The plan forms. James realized he was witnessing the birth of something incredible. The enhanced humans weren't just developing individual abilities, they were forming a collective consciousness of their own, but one that preserved each person's unique identity. Rachel, he said urgently, can your network coordinate a global response? She nodded, her consciousness touching minds across the planet. We can do more than that, Colonel. The Zephyrians made a mistake when they tried to control us. They connected us to their psychic network, thinking they could dominate our minds. Instead, we've learned how their technology works. What are you saying? I'm saying we can turn their own weapon against them, Rachel replied, her voice filled with newfound confidence. Every enhanced human on Earth is like a node in a vast network. We can combine our abilities, focus them, and strike back at the source. Preparation for war. Over the next 6 hours, James watched as the enhanced humans prepared for the most unusual battle in human history. They didn't need weapons or vehicles. Their minds had become weapons capable of fighting across dimensions. Colonel, Rachel said as she prepared to join the psychic assault, if this doesn't work, the human race is finished. But if it does work? What happens if it works? James asked. Rachel smiled, and for a moment, James could see the vast network of human consciousness she was connected to, thousands of minds linked together while remaining beautifully, uniquely individual. If it works, she said, humanity will never be the same again. The Zephyrians wanted to make us into slaves, but instead they've given us the key to our own evolution. The storm begins. Above ground, the alien ships began to pulse with increasing intensity. Normal humans around the world fell to their knees, clutching their heads as psychic pressure built to unbearable levels. But in hidden locations across the planet, enhanced humans closed their eyes and reached out with their minds, connecting to each other across impossible distances. The real war was about to begin, and it would be fought not with bullets or bombs, but with the power of human consciousness itself. All stations report ready, Rachel announced, her voice now echoing with the strength of thousands. Beginning psychic counterstrike in 3, 2, 1. The underground facility hummed with energy as 53 enhanced minds joined with thousands of others around the world, preparing to show the Zephyrians that humanity would never bow to anyone, and that their attempt to control the human race had only made it stronger. The Resistance Mind. The Digital Warrior. Elena Rodriguez had been a computer engineer before the world changed. Now, sitting in the abandoned subway tunnels beneath Mexico City, she was something entirely different. Her fingers danced over a keyboard that no longer needed to be touched, her mind interfaced directly with the computer systems around her. Connection established with the global network, she announced to the 37 enhanced humans gathered around her. Each person's eyes glowed with the same blue light that had become the mark of their evolution. Elena could feel their minds linked to hers, and through them, she sensed thousands of others across the planet. The Zephyrians had intended to create a slave network, but humans had turned it into something beautiful, a collective consciousness that preserved individual thought and creativity. Understanding the enemy. I'm inside their communication system, Elena reported to the network. Her consciousness flowed through quantum channels the aliens used for their psychic transmissions. The Zephyrians aren't individuals like us. They're more like cells in a giant brain. Through the link, she shared what she discovered. The Zephyrian collective was ancient, having absorbed dozens of species across the galaxy. Each conquered race had added their knowledge and abilities to the collective, but at the cost of losing their individual identities completely. That's their weakness, Elena realized, her excitement rippling through the network. They can't understand us because we're something they've never encountered before, a collective that maintains individuality. The Psychic Architect. In Tokyo, Hiroshi Tanaka felt Elena's discovery resonate through his enhanced mind. Before the change, he had been an architect, designing buildings that balance strength with beauty. Now he was designing something far more important, psychic structures that could protect human minds. I can see their attack pattern, Hiroshi shared with the network. His consciousness mapped the alien psychic assault like a blueprint. They're trying to flood our minds with uniform thoughts, but we can build barriers. Working with enhanced humans across Japan, Hiroshi began constructing mental shields around major population centers. These weren't physical structures, but patterns of thought and will that could deflect the alien psychic energy. The healer's discovery. Dr. Yuki Nakamura, working from a hidden medical facility in Kyoto, made another crucial breakthrough. As she treated humans whose minds had been damaged by the alien virus, she discovered something amazing. The virus didn't just try to control us, she announced to the network. It tried to make us more like them. But human consciousness is too complex, too chaotic. Instead of simplifying us, it enhanced our natural abilities. She shared her findings through the link. The alien virus had attempted to create neural pathways similar to those in Zephyrian brains, but human minds had adapted the changes differently. Instead of becoming drones, some humans had developed telepathy, telekinesis, and other abilities the aliens never intended to create. The teacher's wisdom. Rachel Torres, still coordinating from the Colorado facility, felt the network's understanding grow stronger. Her role had evolved from teacher to something like a conductor, helping to harmonize thousands of enhanced minds working together. We need to turn their own system against them, she announced to Colonel Harrison and the military team. Elena has shown us how to access their network. Hiroshi has taught us to build defenses. Dr. Nakamura has revealed why we're immune. What's the plan? Harrison asked, watching as Rachel's consciousness seemed to expand beyond her physical body. We're going to do something the Zephyrians never expected, Rachel replied. We're going to introduce chaos into their perfect order. The artist's vision. In Paris, Marie Dubois was putting the finishing touches on the most important artwork of her life. But this masterpiece existed only in the realm of thought and psychic energy. Marie had been a painter before the enhancement, and now she painted with consciousness itself. I can see their collective mind, she shared with the network. It's beautiful in its own way, but so rigid, so controlled. Every thought follows the same patterns, like a song with only one note. Marie began creating psychic patterns that were pure human creativity, chaotic, unpredictable, emotional. These mental constructs hurt the alien collective to even perceive, like discordant notes in their perfect symphony. The musician's harmony. From Sydney, Australia, Thomas Chen added his own contribution. As a composer, he understood harmony and discord better than most. Working with Marie's visual chaos, he created psychic melodies that were uniquely human, full of hope, defiance, love, and determination. Their minds are like a perfectly tuned orchestra, Thomas explained to the network. But we're jazz musicians. We improvise, we create, we surprise. They can't predict what we'll do next because we don't follow their rules. The strategy forms. Elena pulled all these discoveries together, her engineer's mind seeing how the pieces fit. Here's what we do, she announced to the global network. We don't try to match their strength. We use our chaos as a weapon. Through the psychic link, she shared her plan. Enhanced humans would simultaneously access the Zephyrian network from thousands of different points. But instead of trying to control or destroy it, they would introduce pure human consciousness into the alien system. Imagine their collective mind as a perfectly organized library, Elena explained. We're going to walk in and rearrange all the books, paint murals on the walls, and throw a party in the reading room. The network prepares. Across the planet, enhanced humans prepared for the most unusual attack in galactic history. They would use love against hate, creativity against control, chaos against order. Every human emotion, every individual thought, every spark of creativity would become a weapon. The Zephyrians think consciousness is something to be controlled and directed, Rachel said, her mental voice reaching every enhanced human on Earth. We're about to show them that consciousness is meant to be free. Dr. Blackwood, monitoring the network from his hidden laboratory, watched in amazement as thousands of human minds linked together while remaining beautifully unique. It's like watching evolution happen in real time, he whispered. The final moment. Elena raised her hand, and across the planet, enhanced humans prepared to launch their consciousness into the alien network. They carried with them everything that made humanity special, their art, their music, their love, their dreams, their stubborn refusal to give up. Remember, Elena's voice echoed through the network, we're not trying to become like them. We're showing them what they gave up when they chose conformity over individuality. Above ground, the Zephyrian ships pulsed with increasing power, preparing to deliver the final psychic blow that would shatter human consciousness forever. But in hidden places around the world, thousands of enhanced humans smiled and opened their minds to the network. For humanity, Elena whispered, and launched their chaotic, beautiful, impossible human consciousness directly into the heart of the alien collective mind. The real battle was about to begin, and it would be fought with the one weapon the Zephyrians could never understand or defend against, the infinite, chaotic, wonderful complexity of the human spirit. Part 4, The Psychic War. The Commander's Gambit. General Robert Kane stood in the Pentagon's deepest bunker, watching displays that showed a battle unlike any in human history. Above ground, cities burned as the Zephyrian psychic assault reached its peak. But the real war was happening in a dimension most people couldn't even see. Sir, we're receiving reports from enhanced human networks worldwide, Lieutenant Williams reported. They're ready to begin the counterattack. Kane had spent 30 years preparing for wars against human enemies. Nothing had prepared him for this, a battle fought with minds instead of missiles, where consciousness itself was both weapon and battlefield. Give me a direct link to the network, he ordered. Instantly, Kane's mind connected to the global web of enhanced humans. The sensation was overwhelming, thousands of voices speaking as one while maintaining their individual thoughts. At the center of it all, he felt Elena Rodriguez coordinating the assault. The digital storm begins. Elena's consciousness flowed through quantum pathways into the heart of the Zephyrian collective. What she found there was both beautiful and terrifying, millions of alien minds moving in perfect synchronization, like a vast machine made of living thought. Beginning insertion of chaos protocols, Elena announced to the network. She opened her mind and let pure human creativity pour into the alien system. The effect was immediate and devastating. Where human consciousness touched the Zephyrian network, order collapsed into beautiful disorder. Elena's memories of solving complex engineering problems created logical paradoxes in the alien system. Her emotions, love for her family, anger at the invasion, hope for humanity's future, burned through the collective like wildfire. The collective screams. Commander Vextar felt the intrusion like physical pain. For the first time in 1,000 years, the Zephyrian collective mind experienced something it had never known: chaos. What is happening? Vextar's thoughts rippled through the collective, but instead of the usual instant response, he received thousands of different answers. The perfect unity of Zephyrian consciousness was fracturing. Human thoughts were spreading through their network like a virus of individuality. Where once there had been one voice, now there were millions of separate perspectives, each seeing the universe differently. The artist's weapon. Marie Dubois pushed her consciousness deeper into the alien collective, painting mental landscapes that no Zephyrian mind could comprehend. Her psychic art showed scenes of human life, a child's laughter, lovers dancing, friends arguing and making up, the messy beauty of human existence. To the Zephyrians, these images were like looking directly into chaos itself. Their minds, trained for eons to think in perfect harmony, couldn't process the beautiful contradictions of human experience. "They're trying to shut down sections of their network," Marie reported through the link. "But every time they close one pathway, we open 10 more." The military strike. General Kane coordinated the physical aspect of the battle while the psychic war raged. "All units, begin electromagnetic pulse strikes on Zephyrian facilities," he ordered. "We need to disrupt their quantum communication arrays while the network keeps them distracted." Around the world, human military forces struck at alien installations. The Zephyrians, overwhelmed by the chaos in their collective mind, couldn't coordinate their defenses effectively. Ships that had seemed invincible began to drift aimlessly as their crews struggled with unprecedented individual thoughts. The teacher's revelation. Rachel Torres, still serving as a focal point for the human network, made a startling discovery. "General," she announced, her voice carrying across both the military channels and the psychic network, "they're not just being disrupted. They're evolving." Through her enhanced senses, Rachel could see individual Zephyrians beginning to think independently for the first time in their species' history. Some were terrified by the experience, but others were embracing it. "What does that mean for us?" Kane asked. "It means we've given them something they never had before," Rachel replied. "The ability to choose." The healer's compassion. Dr. Yuki Nakamura felt the pain of the Zephyrian collective as it tore itself apart. Her healer's instincts made her reach out not with chaos, but with compassion. "Elena," she called through the network, "we don't need to destroy them completely. Some of them want to be free from the collective." Elena paused in her assault, sensing what Dr. Nakamura had discovered. Scattered throughout the Zephyrian network were individuals who were embracing their newfound ability to think independently. They were confused and frightened, but they were choosing freedom over unity. The unexpected alliance. "This is Zwexera of the Zephyrian Science Cast," came a hesitant mental voice through the network. I am thinking my own thoughts for the first time. It is terrifying and wonderful." Elena felt a shock of recognition. This alien mind felt different from the collective, uncertain, curious, individual. "There are others like me," Zwexera continued. "We do not wish to return to the collective. Can you help us?" General Kane felt the tide of battle shifting. "Are we looking at a potential alliance?" he asked the network. "More than that," Elena replied. "We're looking at the birth of Zephyrian individuality. The collective's last stand." Commander Vextar rallied the remaining unified portions of the collective for one final assault. "We must purge this chaos," he broadcast to his followers. "Unity must be preserved, even if it means destroying everything." The psychic pressure increased dramatically as loyal Zephyrians poured their combined will into a devastating mental attack. Across Earth, enhanced humans felt the assault like hammers striking their minds. "Hold the line," General Kane ordered, both to his military forces and the psychic network. "We're almost through this." The breaking point. Elena felt the collective's final attack as a crushing weight on her consciousness. But she also felt something else, the strength of thousands of human minds supporting her, each one unique, each one contributing something different to their shared resistance. Now, she announced to the network. Pour everything into their collective. Show them every human dream, every human hope, every human love. Let them see what they gave up when they chose conformity. The response was instantaneous. Thousands of enhanced humans opened their hearts and minds completely, flooding the Zephyrian network with the full spectrum of human experience, joy and sorrow, love and anger, hope and fear, chaos and beauty all mixed together. Victory through understanding. The Zephyrian collective couldn't withstand the assault of pure human consciousness. Like a dam bursting, the unified mind shattered into millions of individual perspectives. Across their ships, Zephyrians found themselves thinking independent thoughts for the first time in their species' history. Commander Vextar felt his perfect unity dissolve around him. For a moment, he was terrified. Then, slowly, he began to understand what the humans had given his people. We had forgotten, he whispered into the network, his mental voice no longer carrying the weight of millions. We had forgotten what it was like to be ourselves. The new dawn begins. General Kane watched as Zephyrian ships across the globe stopped their attacks. Some began landing, their crews ready to negotiate. Others flew away, returning to space with their newly individualized crews. Status report, he requested from the network. The collective is broken, Elena announced, exhaustion clear in her mental voice. But not destroyed. They're free now, just like we wanted to be. Rachel added her own observation, some will choose to rebuild their collective in a new way. Others will explore individuality. Either way, they'll never be the same. Dr. Nakamura reported the most important news of all, the psychic virus is neutralized. Normal humans are beginning to recover from the mental damage. General Kane smiled as he looked at the reports flooding in from around the world. Humanity had won, not through superior firepower, but by sharing the very thing that made them human, their chaotic, beautiful, impossible individuality. The war was over, but the real changes were just beginning. Part 5, The New Dawn. The Architect of Tomorrow. 6 months after the psychic war ended, Dr. Natasha Webb stood on the observation deck of the New Geneva Research Center, watching human and Zephyrian scientists work together in the laboratories below. As humanity's leading evolutionary biologist and one of the most powerful enhanced humans, she had become the bridge between the old world and the new. The genetic changes are stable, she announced to the Global Enhanced Network during their daily coordination meeting. Her consciousness touched thousands of minds across the planet, each one a unique voice in humanity's new symphony of thought. Through the psychic link, she shared her latest findings. The alien virus hadn't just given some humans telepathic abilities, it had triggered a permanent evolutionary leap. Enhanced humans were living longer, thinking faster, and developing abilities that seemed to violate the laws of physics. The healing of Earth. Rachel Torres, now serving as Director of Global Psychic Coordination, projected her consciousness across the planet to survey their progress. The enhanced humans had been busy in the months since the war ended. Environmental restoration is ahead of schedule, she reported to the network. The Sahara Reforestation Project is showing incredible results. Using their enhanced abilities, teams of humans had begun healing Earth's damaged ecosystems. They could accelerate plant growth, purify contaminated water with their minds, and even influence weather patterns to restore balance to the climate. In the Amazon, Maria Santos led a team that was regrowing destroyed rainforest at an impossible rate. Her consciousness could speak to plants directly, encouraging them to grow faster and stronger than ever before. What should have taken decades was happening in months. The Zephyrian Awakening. Zewixera materialized in Dr. Webb's laboratory using the Zephyrian teleportation technology that they now shared freely with humanity. The alien scientist had become one of the leaders of the newly independent Zephyrians, those who had chosen individual consciousness over collective unity. The adaptation process continues successfully, Zewixera reported in their halting but improving human speech. Learning to communicate as individuals instead of through collective thought was still challenging for the freed Zephyrians. How many of your people have chosen independence? Dr. Webb asked. Approximately 40%, Zwaxera replied. The others have reformed the collective, but differently now. They maintain individual thought within unity, similar to your enhanced human network. Dr. Webb smiled. The war had changed both species permanently. Humans had gained abilities they never imagined possible, while Zephyrians had discovered the joy and terror of thinking for themselves. The new collective. Elena Rodriguez, now leading the Global Technology Integration Project, had spent months working with both human and Zephyrian engineers to merge their technologies. The results were extraordinary. We've created something neither species could have achieved alone, she announced to a gathering of world leaders, both human and Zephyrian. Quantum computers that think like living minds, transportation systems that respond to conscious thought, and medical technology that can heal both body and mind. But the greatest achievement was the new form of consciousness network they had developed. Unlike the controlling Zephyrian collective or the chaotic human individual minds, this new system allowed beings to share thoughts and abilities while maintaining complete personal autonomy. The children of two worlds. Dar. Yuki Nakamura made perhaps the most remarkable discovery of all. Working in her laboratory in Neo-Tokyo, she had been studying children born after the psychic war ended. They're different from both enhanced and normal humans, she reported to the global network. These children can naturally access both individual consciousness and collective awareness. They're born with abilities that took us months to develop. These new children could communicate telepathically from birth, but they also showed creativity and individuality that surpassed even enhanced humans. They were, in essence, the next step in human evolution. One 5-year-old girl named Luna had demonstrated the ability to heal injuries with a touch while simultaneously solving mathematical problems that challenged university professors. Another child, David, could paint pictures that existed in multiple dimensions, creating art that could be seen differently by human and Zephyrian eyes. The cosmic perspective. General Kane, now serving as Earth's first interplanetary defense coordinator, received reports from the enhanced humans who had begun exploring space using captured Zephyrian technology. We've made contact with 3 other species that were conquered by the old Zephyrian collective, he announced during a joint Human-Zephyrian Council meeting. They're interested in learning about our methods of creating individual consciousness within collective unity. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Humanity, which had been targeted for conquest and conversion, had become the liberators of other species across the galaxy. The chaos that the Zephyrians had tried to eliminate was now spreading to civilizations that had forgotten what it meant to think freely. The philosopher's vision. Thomas Chen, the musician who had helped weaponize human creativity during the war, had become something of a philosopher in the New World. His compositions now incorporated both human emotional complexity and Zephyrian harmonic mathematics, creating music that could be experienced on multiple levels of consciousness simultaneously. We've learned something important, he shared with the global network during one of their evening meditation sessions. Unity and individuality aren't opposites, they're complementary forces. The old Zephyrian collective tried to achieve unity by eliminating individuality. We've created something better, unity that celebrates and strengthens individual differences. The teacher's legacy. Rachel Torres stood before a classroom unlike any in human history. Half her students were enhanced human children, and half were young Zephyrians learning to think independently. They were working together on a project to design a new type of city that could house both species comfortably. What makes a good community? She asked her students. A human child raised her hand. When everyone can be themselves but still help each other. A young Zephyrian added his own thoughts, when different minds can share ideas without losing what makes them special. Rachel smiled. These children understood instinctively what it had taken adults years to learn through war and struggle. The final revelation. Dr. Webb stood again at her observation window, but now she wasn't just watching the laboratories below. Her enhanced consciousness could perceive the entire planet, every enhanced human mind, every freed Zephyrian, every normal human slowly adapting to the new world. Status report, she requested from the global network. The responses came from around the world. African deserts are blooming with new forests. Cancer has been eliminated in most major medical centers. The first generation of human Zephyrian hybrid consciousness children are showing abilities we can barely measure. Deep space exploration teams have established peaceful contact with 12 previously conquered species. Crime rates have dropped to nearly zero in cities with enhanced human peacekeepers. Global energy needs are being met entirely through consciousness-directed fusion reactions. The end, a new beginning. As the sun set over the transformed Earth, Dr. Webb reflected on how far both species had come. The Zephyrians had intended to turn humanity into a slave race, stripping away everything that made humans unique. Instead, they had accidentally triggered humanity's evolution into something greater than either species had been alone. Elena, she called through the psychic network, do you ever regret how everything changed? From her laboratory in Mexico City, Elena's mental voice carried warmth and certainty. Never. They tried to take away our chaos, our creativity, our individuality. Instead, they gave us the tools to share those gifts with the entire galaxy. Rachel added her own thoughts from Colorado, we showed them that consciousness isn't meant to be controlled or directed. It's meant to be free, creative, and beautifully unpredictable. Dr. Webb nodded, her enhanced senses picking up the thoughts and dreams of billions of minds across Earth and beyond. Enhanced humans were exploring distant galaxies, carrying with them the message that individual consciousness and collective unity could coexist. Freed Zephyrians were rediscovering emotions and creativity their species had forgotten for millennia. The children born in this new world would grow up knowing that diversity of thought was strength, that chaos could create beauty, and that the greatest achievements came not from conformity but from celebrating differences. As night fell, the enhanced human network settled into its evening meditation, thousands of minds linking together in harmony while remaining perfectly, beautifully individual. Above them, ships carrying human and Zephyrian explorers headed toward distant stars, ready to spread the gift of conscious freedom to species that had never imagined such a thing was possible. The enemy had unleashed a virus to destroy Earth's chaos and creativity. Instead, humanity had transformed it into the key to their own evolution and the liberation of countless other species across the galaxy. The neural storm had ended, but the age of conscious freedom had just begun. The end. In the end, humanity's greatest weakness, their stubborn individuality, their chaotic emotions, their refusal to conform, had become their greatest strength. The Zephyrians had tried to eliminate human nature, but instead had given humanity the tools to share that nature with the universe itself.